Hi folks, I am 12 MJRPMDS14, but you can either call me 12, 12MJ, and or MJ. And so for today, I'm showing you my apps and in terms of the art apps and to compare them. So I have up to 5 apps shown here, which is Ibis Paint X, the free version, Krita, Medibang Paint, High Paint, and Infinite Painter. And so far, I'm choosing Ibis Paint first because it is the oldest app that I have used in a long time. And this is essentially how Ibis Paint works. I'm going to create a new canvas essentially. Let's start with a 2000 by 2000 pixels. And this app is like quite old. It's they're in the very early 2010s as far as I remember and did research. However, I haven't installed this app until mid 2010s. Well, mid to late 2010s. As I was searching for a good art-based apps, and Ibis Paint came. It's even surprisingly available for iOS 9 for iPad mini and older iPhones. And this essentially has brushes as well as the ability to customize them. And yes, there's ads also in this app, which I do recommend to turn off your Wi-Fi to disable the seeing ads. But if you want to unlock the brushes by using the ads, you can have a free use of 4 hours maximum to use them. And once you ran out of your 4 hours, you can watch an ad to basically unlock them again for the next 4 hours, which that's how it essentially works. And it has a advanced customization for the brushes in the menus. In older versions, they didn't have this much customization before. This is the latest known version of Ibis Paint, essentially. And I'm using one of the default like pens, which is the dip pen, which is the only free one that I use, alongside a standard pen, my other default. And there's also airbrush. You can very much customize your own preferred brushes, as well as naming them as well. It's any kind of name that you basically need. And here's the basics list. And you already seen the custom over here. And then there's also online that you can download some brushes online if you want. And it has a various other tools. So far, one of my favorites is the a custom color palette, which you can use to create and save colors. I already overhauled the older default color palette, but you can customize your own custom colors by using these sliders of hue, saturation, and value. And if you want, you can also opt for a red, green, and blue or the RGB options. I don't mind the accidental taps. That's because my phone is curved screen. So apologies if it's quite like very much disturbs your eyes. And here's the standard color wheel, which also has hex code available. And you can put in the value of the exact colors you want. Which that's how is essentially works. But you can also use the color picker to select the colors that you want as well. which is like right here in this like section. Might as well use this cyan as an example. And I'm going to use like the brush dip pen. I probably basically use eyedropper. And right here is like, I'm going to like basically demonstrate with a second color, and then and essentially like this is like how you can like select the colors, which is like one of them. It's like a the usual like a standard way of like a like art apps these days have to for like ease in terms of like selecting specific colors. There's also like various features like paint bucket tool, also very useful to like fill in like a exact like spots of color that you want. And like even there's like effects such as like various like filters essentially, which has these. You can also have like frame, which is my preferred default. You can also like choose specified, such as this, or this, or this, or even this, and even a swirl and twirl, which kinda like very much adjust these kind of colors like that. There's also like some that you kind of like need to like unlock via ads or like premium, judging from like a one of those like highlight marks over here. So you can like exit that. And you also have like layers, which is also standard. Ibis Paint lets you have like a unlimited amount of layers over here. And then you can also like delete them essentially. And like that's basically like how like one of the basics of like how Ibis Paint works. And even like a bit of like menu adjustments. You can also like save image and like in settings you can like mess around with the like features. Like reference window is quite good to like see like your artwork in like big detail, and then like you can also like use it to like move around the canvas this way instead of like moving around the canvas like with your fingers like this, especially if you don't want to mess it up unless you want to use your fingers to rotate just like this, which is very useful to like not accidentally like draw or like color on it essentially, like any drawing you work on.
With Sakai, you can
Apologies for that random ad, like that usually happens when you're connected to Wi-Fi. And yes, there like Ibis Paint is also promoting me like features that I don't necessarily need, like a folder. So let's move on to like the next application, which is my secondary like a platform that I would use in case like something goes wrong with Ibis Paint over there. And before I switch, like this is basically like the like a preferred like a standards in terms of like tools within like digital art programs and apps these days. And let's see what the other four art apps like got compared to like Ibis Paint and got standard features there. Well, if they have all of them, that is, or like some. Now let's go to the next app. Oh, I forgot to mention that like there's also like Ibis Paint's unique feature of a speed time lapse video. And you can also save artwork at a specific point so that you can go back to a certain a part of your artwork that you want to save, such as like a rough sketch or the line art only version of your artwork, especially if you want to use it as a coloring page. And here you press I so that you can adjust the video playback of your built-in artwork progress of being shown here in terms of how it's made. You can go without window or with window. I'm going to show what with window looks like, and that's essentially with window. And there's another one without window, somewhat similar, but it doesn't have the user interface or UI of Ibis Paint with the tools and other menus shown here. View fixation is like Ibis Paint's default, but it kind of looks boring. And if you want your process to be seen in a more in-depth way, you can basically use a with window view, especially if with the case of AI using a data from people who do speed painting time lapses, which this so far with the without and the with window options help ward off the problems with essentially rem- removes the some of the risk of being a called an AI fraud. And you can also do stuff like the time lapse save for your time lapse video, and save your artwork as an image, in either a PNG or JPEG. And you can adjust a resolution or use AI disturbance to ward off a AI data theft of your artwork's data. And you can also delete this artwork as well. And delete this one. And now let's properly go to the next app right now. So next app shown here will technically be Medibang. Medibang will be my second a secondary application that I would use for making art. You can have this, and you can also enable a time lapse. And here's a Medibang's a UI. It looks quite strange, somewhat different than Ibis Paint's menu. Some of the features are the same, but other features are kind of different. There's some features that are unfamiliar, especially if you want to use certain tools. And sadly, there's no way to look directly in the app on identifying which one is the feature that you actually needed. And so far, there's a save color palette here. You can save any amount of colors that you want. And there's also this, the custom brushes as well. It also has a default brushes, which they seem more accessible compared to Ibis Paint's brushes. You can't access some of your preferred custom made brushes. So you're going to need watch ads in order to unlock them, essentially. but at least there's less like brushes that you want to like watch ads for. Like essentially, like you don't need to like uh like worry about accessing that much brushes. Like some of the tools are familiar, like a color fill. You just need to select the colors first. No, like we don't need to. Like I'm going to like choose black. And there we go. We got that one working. You can also have like brushes. You can have the eyedropper. I'm going to select white as the pencil essentially. And then try like also like using this, and like there's like a magnifying glass to get the color palette that you want with the, but the canvas is a bit tiny, but you can still essentially get colors by just carefully scrolling this way and zoom out your canvas, and then it essentially does this. You just need to go inside the canvas, but it's still gonna be hard to see due to the fact that it will overlap like this. So yeah, like a eyedropper is gonna be like a little harder to use, making it extremely wonky in a bad way. There's also layers. Let's test out layers. So far there's these options put a type of layer where it'd be adding images in terms of taking photos and saving selecting a saved image in your gallery, which I always use the option gallery image selection as opposed to taking a photo. And sometimes this UI is kind of harder to use compared to Ibis Paint and some of the other art apps, which takes time. I'm still I'm still figuring out how to use another layer. So most likely I'm going to use a color layer and test out the limits, if it can go beyond these layer numbers, probably 10. And yeah, so far mini bang seems to have a kind of a unlimited layers. And you can also delete. You can also press the show don't show this again, but I prefer to have this so that it's a safeguard in case you had second thoughts in removing that. But then again, you have the undo and redo button. But still, it's a good idea to keep this one just in case. And that's basically it. So sometimes it's also difficult to exit the menu. But it's kind of like this. Save. And
How to earn money with artificial.
yeah, apologies for that ad, but yeah, very much as always, like I recommend like turning off the Wi-Fi doing this. Like yeah, like so far like this app is like still like difficult to like check for some of the things that you need. Like so far like this is like a kind of interesting, which is like tutorials over here in Medibang. Well, only some tutorials, but not all the tutorials are like a, like these tutorials are not always applicable for your needs. Which yeah, very much like use the internet for like specified ways of like drawing things. And so far like here's the my gallery, which like showcases like these types of menus over here. However, we're going to use like the default. Like this is our current like artwork here, and like I also have like this as the test. Like I also like have this in like a Ibis paint. Well, like not necessarily relevant other than like a showcasing like the brushes and some of the things there. So far, let's go to the next app. So far, here's the next art program or app, which is a Krita. And Krita is like its own like kind of beast. Like mainly Krita's and also like Ibis Paint are like old like art apps. Oh wait, no, not necessarily Ibis Paint. I was gonna say Medibang. It's Medibang. Like both Medibang and like Krita are like older apps in terms of like also being available for like a computer, which is like quite good. Like remember like using like Medibang for like Mac OS, even though like Medibang like has its own limits for like Mac OS at the time, as well as like a completely like a different version. And like so far like Krita essentially has like a menu that has like similar to like a laptop or a desktop computer, which is like kind of like confusing at first. And like yeah, like so far like Krita is its own like kind of difficult in terms of, like figuring out the menu. Like Ibis Paint was like a kind of like easy enough to like understand. And not only that, there's another problem with this menu being like a like very much functioning like a desktop computer, like a user interface, which is not good at all. Like it's probably like a best if you like use like a tablet that has a bigger screen that can accommodate this app. And yeah, like so far this like canvas got so tiny because of the UI here. So you're going to need to like figure out how to like close the windows of like some of these apps. Which for my case, I have a hard time like closing like some of them. But fortunately, like there are those like that I can like disable. But there are others that are harder to disable essentially. Like not necessarily good, but I can like bring them like it could technically kind of bring them back up. However, like it's still quite difficult to like navigate this application, which may take a while. So not necessarily like friendly. Like, yeah, like the menus are like still confusing to use. So, like, very much, if you're planning to like migrate to like these apps because like they have things that you want, like, very much learn like these apps and their features so that like you'll have like a easier transition the more you practice before you like transition like a one art app to like another, essentially. Like, this very much is like a quite a confusing UI. And also like like some of the like tools are like confusing, like it's kind of hard to like figure out like a which UI activates which. And so far, like losing the like ability to like open some like apps, like parts of the app, such as like activating like the color wheel, which is quite difficult to like figure out. Which, yeah. And so far, like, here's like this version of the color wheel, which also like quite confusing in of itself. We can also have like your standard color palette over here, which is good to see. Like, yes, you can like open it kind of this way. And like you can like press like this arrow to like swap like the colors in terms of like gradients of sorts. Like, very much like this app is like very confusing to use. Okay, you can activate this kind of like color palette, but it's gonna be like annoying and like inconvenient. So like properly like learn this application right away, especially if you got like wanting to work on like a on desktop, which very much important. And you also have like some ability to like zoom in and out. Like, some of the UI is like being blocked, essentially. So yeah, like this app is not intuitive in terms of like using it for phone. Only tablet and like desktop. And like enabling like the toolbars shown here. And then there's this that you can like activate as well. Which, yeah, like that's basically like how you can like activate the color palette. Which is like Dockers. Let's go to like artistic color selector. And then go back and see what happens in tapping artistic color selector, which is seems to like turn off. Like, yep, like that's basically how you can like bring some of the menus and like disable menus as well. So yeah, very much confusing like a UI. So like I'm going to like quit. Yes. Hang on. So yeah, like this like the exit feature is a quite like a kind of weird essentially. Like a you don't necessarily have like the ability to properly save some like progress unless you deal with like this version essentially. like uh, yeah, like this UI is like very confusing. So I'm going to like use like a some sort of fill bucket tool of some kind, which is over here, and I'm gonna like color it black. So I'm going to like save this essentially because it won't necessarily let me leave without closing or quitting. Which yes, like very much this app is like confusing. Close. There you go. Now it's working. So yeah, like Krita is is that intuitive? It's like a much less intuitive compared to like a Medibang. Like Medibang is already like a like a an app that's available for both like computers and an art app for like mobile devices of like smartphone and tablet, and its UI is like a kind of like a friendlier in some way compared to like Krita. Ibis Paint is like the standard of like a friendly like a art program for devices, like it also like recently has like a Windows port of it. So like let's go to the next app. Next, we're going to like a high paint essentially, like another alternative, which very much yes, I like very much have already made like swatch sets of brushes of this app. So I'm going for this resolution that's the default selected one for my screen. And like the UI for high paint is like quite like interesting and nice over here. And like so far, like this seems to be like this kind of like menu. Like it looks like a very clean. Like it even got like some like a 3D objects over here, which is a quite a unique feature. There's also this, which you can press the undo and redo, and like open and close the UI menu. And like there's even like this color palette essentially. There's also custom color palette as you can see here, like with the like a clicker, like a glowing icon showing. And like there's like the preset like a color palette shown here. And there's also like a implementation of like hex code. There's also like this with the color picker and like hue, saturation, value, and RGB. And like the color wheel as well. So like I'm going to like use this like a color palette by default. And I can also like add another custom palette. And I'll probably press this like exit this one. Like so far like the brush used is like this is Dust Pastel, which is like quite an amazing brush. Like very beautiful. Like probably like a like looks like the real thing, but it's more so like cleaner because it's digital. And as always, like there's usually more tools like a stabilizer and like also like various sketch settings. Like you can like activate these. Which is quite interesting. Except for like finger pressure is like somewhat applied, but I don't know. Like there doesn't seem to be much of a difference. Probably because my my hardware like doesn't seem to be like advanced enough to like accommodate like a like a pressure sensitivity. And then there's like the usual standard eraser. And there's even this, which has like more tools. And indeed, like there's like the fill, which is quite interesting. Like it's able to accommodate some of the like gaps and also like keep the line art intact. Like Ibis Paint like sometimes like struggles with this when I use like their brushes over the years. But you can like control the gap distribution with like a fill bucket tool like settings for Ibis Paint. And like this is like a very interesting feature so far. In terms of like high paint, which is very nice, and like the UI like seems friendly enough. And like there's also like more tools like this. So like I'm going to initiate this. Like there's not much like objects to put, but like you can like essentially like add some 3D objects, which is quite strange actually. Which you could potentially use for a background of sorts. And then like you can like basically exit this and like re-enter it back. However, like this is gonna be like difficult to like cancel this. So like clearing the canvas may help, but exiting like the UI of like the tools is gonna be like a little difficult. Like this is like gonna be like a difficult to like exit the UI. Well, the gradient tool may have like helped like disable the menu, but like I couldn't necessarily find a way to like deal with like exiting the 3D objects, which is kind of like concerning. And like it always like defaults to like zooming in like this, which is not always good. Like you probably want to see like the whole view without like the UI like obscuring like so much. And even if you have like a resting like a app window. So yeah, that one is not as useful of a feature. Like there's no way to like exit that. And like this so far is basically like implementing like screenshots of sorts, but then again you can just use like you can just use like the canvas settings to like add like another like thing. And you can also have like groups available, like it's also available in Ibis Paint. And like so far the menus like kind of like difficult to like navigate still. Like when it comes to like the canvas, not necessarily good. Like you can add like a layer groups and like implement like any layer that you want. And you can also like implement like subgroups too, even more subgroups. You can also add the main group here, which is quite interesting. But like deleting like the layers seems to be kind of difficult for newcomers. I haven't used this application much compared to like the other apps, and so like this is kind of considered troubling and not necessarily as good as I thought it would be in terms of like accommodating some of the uh like layers. Yeah, like there's no essential way to like deal with the layer problem. And like so far, like going to settings, like you can actually have these tools added to your toolbar. Like right here. And like you're expanding like essentially the menu. Like, and you also have like a create animation, which like Ibis Paint has that feature too, essentially. Like these things are quite interesting, and like that expands the toolbar even more than I imagine. However, there's always a cost to this one. I still couldn't figure out how to remove the layers. I can adjust canvas size, but I don't need to. And there's another ad. Let me just wait for it to skip. Yeah, once again, ensure that the ads is a turn off by disabling Wi-Fi. So this is very difficult to figure out. Oh, there it is. You can actually just tap to delete the layer. A tap on each, which actually kind of helps. Very much this seems to help. So yeah, very much learn this application as much as you can, especially if you want to migrate to this app. Ensure that you tap some words that may not look like icons, but best to experiment. It took me a while to learn this kind of applications layout. So let's go to the next and final art program here that I'll showcase. So far, the last art program slash app would be a Infinite Painter. And there's an ad over here. But at least we can tap on the non-ad area to essentially activate deactivate the ad. There's also landscape and square. I'll go for square this time. The UI is very simple, similar to a high paint, though Infinite Painter seems to have its own way of using the UI. And so far it seems it has some locked features, which is not necessarily good. And then you can also tap on the canvas to also do stuff like merge, duplicate, clear, delete, select, clip, and so on and so forth. There's even opacity, I think. Delete. And there's even this little menu. Now let's go see. You can activate this tool. It's just like a finger like smudge base tool. And activate the brushes. There's even like colors over here. Like so far I haven't necessarily like set up my colors, my default like color palette here. Like let's see if I have like actually like got one, unless I didn't. So far I have not. So far I have definitely not set up like the colors over here, which is like interesting. Hang on, let me like showcase like the custom color palette feature here. Okay, like this is the feature. I'm going to like create like a new color palette. Oh wait, I already have. It's actually over here. So yeah, like this like very much like shows that I've already like created a custom color palette. However, like let's check on the like other like one over here. Like I'm pretty sure I have set up like a color palette beforehand. Which yes, it seems like it's kind of applied. Which probably due to the fact that like I probably only have like a created like a set like a color palette, but I forgot to like properly set up the color palette as like a save color palette system. And then like this is the one over here, which is like a like using like a color palette like a analyze from like gallery, files, camera, and like whatever like you got in like a files or like search, essentially. And there's also the interesting like a spirited color palette, as well as shades of gray, which the spirited color palette looks like a decent looking color palette so far. Like so far let's like try to like create like a color of sorts. I guess so far like this like a maroon type of color as a test. And then like probably like a way of like saving it, which is like over here. Like save color, test pigment palette as one. Test pigment palette 0. And like you can like essentially like add some like colors like over here. And probably more so like add more colors. though it seems to be quite difficult. Like, kind of forgotten like how I was able to like save the color palette. Like, yeah, like I haven't used this application in a while, only to test as if it were like a viable like a useful like application. So far, like this will be very difficult to like implement new colors this way, which can be difficult. Like this is like a kind of like complicated, like very much so. Like the color palette system can be like this like confusing. Probably if I try to do this perhaps. And like probably like do like color select. I'll choose like magenta as a start. Oh, and that's how you technically like save color by pressing this like a plus dot over here, which I failed to notice. So let's go to this one. And like it like essentially adds a new color. Well, they're technically all magenta. Which that's essentially like a how like these apps operate. So like pretty much my go-to like default is like Ibis Paint, but like these other apps are like good alternatives. Like they have their own set of flaws, such as the like a problem with intuitiveness of the apps. But it's always good to have alternatives, and I still kept the other four apps around just in case like something bad were to happen to like Ibis Paint. And very much some of these apps have the art tools needed, but others kind of don't, because some of them are locked at due to ads or requiring to users to pay subscriptions essentially, which kind of be a make or break a deal situation for those types of apps. So this is the end of the video now. Later, folks, and thanks for viewing this video as of now.